Hello and thanks for joining us. The following video is a virtual meeting regarding the potential noise walls included in the I-43 project between Silver Spring Drive in Milwaukee County and Highway 60 in Ozaukee County. The purpose of this video is to describe each of the potential noise walls and the ability of benefited property owners to vote for or against the construction of the noise wall in their area. Additionally, this video will point out some of the design modifications that have led to a fifth noise wall being deemed reasonable and feasible. WISDOT welcomes your feedback on any portion of the I-43 project, including the noise walls, design, recent design modifications, this reevaluation, and project schedule. Information on how to provide feedback is included at the end of this presentation. The I-43 North-South Freeway project spans 14 miles from Silver Spring Drive north to Highway 60 in Milwaukee and Ozaukee counties. WISDOT constructed I-43 during the 1950s and 1960s. I-43 provides access for manufacturers, merchants, commuters, and tourists within the southeastern Wisconsin and the Milwaukee metropolitan area, and to and from other areas including Green Bay, Sheboygan, Manitowoc, and Chicago. The I-43 North-South Freeway is among the busiest routes in the state and is recommended for expansion in the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission's Vision 2050, a regional land use and transportation plan for Southeast Wisconsin. This project is needed to improve safety by modernizing the corridor and adding a lane in each direction. The project will also reconstruct the existing interchanges at Good Hope Road, Brown Deer Road, County Line Road, Mequon Road, and County Highway C. A new interchange will be built at Highland Road in Ozaukee County. At the south end of the project in Milwaukee County, the project will also replace the Union Pacific Railroad Bridge near Bender Road, and Northport Washington Road between Bender Road and Daphne Lane will be widened and reconstructed to include bike and pedestrian accommodations. As the I-43 project has advanced in design, refinements to the initial design have been identified. One of the refinements occurred adjacent to the Clovernook neighborhood. WISDOT changed the roadway profile as compared to the original design to more closely align with the existing ground surface while meeting current design standards. These changes triggered additional noise analysis, and a traffic noise impact has been identified in the Clovernook neighborhood. Traffic noise impacts require WISDOT to consider noise abatement measures, and in the case of the Clovernook neighborhood, a noise barrier is being considered because it has been deemed reasonable and feasible. This presentation is the opportunity to provide feedback on these changes. On April 23, 2020, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation and the Federal Highway Administration approved and signed the reevaluation of the Final Environmental Impact Statement, or FEIS, for I-43. This approval confirmed that the original environmental decision from 2014 was valid and authorized final design and construction of the project. WISDOT is currently completing the final design as well as beginning to acquire the necessary right-of-way for the project. The first construction projects are anticipated to start later in 2021, with completion anticipated sometime in 2025. The noise barrier process is complex. First, a traffic noise model is used to predict future traffic sound levels, and impacted locations are then considered for noise abatement measures. Project staff evaluate potential design and traffic control modifications, such as prohibiting trucks or changing the horizontal or vertical alignment. Then, noise barriers are modeled for diminishing noise and are optimized to ensure a beneficial and economical barrier is designed. After the evaluation, a determination is made whether each barrier is a reasonable and feasible mitigation measure. Before a noise barrier is constructed, each noise barrier that has been determined to be reasonable and feasible must receive a vote of support from a simple majority of all votes cast by the adjacent landowners and residents of the benefited areas. For a noise barrier to be reasonable, the total cost may not exceed $47,000 per benefited receptor. To be considered a benefit, an impacted receptor must receive a minimum of 8 decibel noise reduction. For a noise abatement measure to be feasible, a minimum of 1 impacted area or common use area must achieve a 9 decibel noise reduction. The detailed noise analysis completed for the final environmental impact statement was updated during the recent reevaluation process. 4 noise walls were initially found to be reasonable and feasible and were subsequently voted in to be included in the project. After some design modifications, a 5th wall has been added for consideration. While an in-person public meeting is traditionally held for adjacent landowners and residents, WISDOT is not currently hosting face-to-face meetings. This video, along with the information mailed to affected parties, is your opportunity to learn about the noise wall process. Contact information has been provided in the mailed materials as well as at the end of this presentation, and we encourage your comments and questions. As we all know, sound is created when an object moves. The rustling of leaves as the wind blows, the air passing through our vocal cords, the almost invisible movement of the speakers on a stereo. Sound is produced by the vibration of sound pressure waves in the air. Sound pressure levels are used to measure the intensity of a sound and are described in terms of logarithmic decibel, or dB. Sound is composed of various frequencies, but the human ear does not respond to all frequencies, and the A scale on the sound level meter best approximates the human ear. Sound pressure levels measured on the A scale are abbreviated dBA. A few general relationships may be helpful at this time in understanding sound generation and propagation. Because decibels are logarithmic units, sound levels cannot be added by ordinary arithmetic means, and the sound pressure level from two equal sources is 3 decibels greater than the sound pressure level of just one source. Therefore, 2 trucks producing 90 decibels each will combine to produce 93 decibels, not 180 decibels. In other words, a doubling of the noise source produces only a 3 decibel increase in the sound pressure level. Studies have shown that this increase is barely detectable by the human ear. Noise barrier effectiveness depends on the distance between the impacted receptor and the barrier. This benefit decreases as a listener moves farther away from the barrier and is negligible at distances of 300 to 500 feet. As previously stated, before a noise barrier is constructed, each reasonable and feasible noise barrier must receive a vote of support from a simple majority of all votes cast by the adjacent landowners and residents of the benefited areas. To be eligible to vote, the receptor must receive a minimum of 8 decibel noise reduction. Owner-occupied receptors will receive 1 vote, while non-owner-occupied receptors will receive 1 vote for the owner and 1 vote for the occupant. A simple majority of all votes cast will determine if the noise barrier is built. Noise walls have already been approved and voted in at 4 different locations throughout the project. The first approved wall would run on the east side of I-43 from Good Hope Road to Brown Deer Road in Milwaukee County. This wall would be 19 to 24 feet and had 49 benefited receptors. It will likely be built in 2023. The next approved wall will run from Brown Deer Road to County Line Road. This wall will be 16 to 24 feet and has 37 benefited receptors. It will likely be built in 2022 and 2023. The third approved wall will run from Winesap Court to Baldwin Court in Ozaukee County. This wall will be 22 to 28 feet high and has 13 benefited receptors. It is currently scheduled to be built in 2024. The final approved wall will run from Liebau Road to Highland Road in Ozaukee County. This wall will be 18 to 25 feet and has 33 benefited receptors. It will likely be built in 2023. The final noise wall that may be part of the I-43 project would run from the Union Pacific Railroad to Nicolet High School on the west side of I-43 in Milwaukee County. This wall is yet to go through the voting process and requires the input from the affected properties. If voted in, this wall would be 12 to 23 feet. There are 10 benefited receptors who will have the opportunity to cast their votes for or against building the wall. The remainder of the properties within 500 feet of the proposed barrier and the other properties in the Clovernook neighborhood may also provide feedback in the form of comments, though they are not voters. This wall would potentially be built in 2024. Due to the historic nature of the Clovernook neighborhood, a special aesthetic treatment may be applied to the western face of the noise wall should it be built. The 4 stain options are shown on this slide, and we're asking both the voting receptors and others in the neighborhood for their feedback on their preferred option. The schedule for the voting process is rather tight. Voting members have 30 days to submit their ballots for counting. The exact due date is on your ballot. For those who did not receive a ballot but would like to submit comments, questions, or feedback, you may do so at any time. Please visit the project website at wisconsindot.gov/43 corridor for more information on the project and the noise wall process in general. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to learn about the noise barriers on I-43.